Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Afzan bin Azlan and my group mates are Jasmin Yusnita Diana binti Jabat and also Erma Marina binti Muhammad Jamil Gagan Abdullah. So for today, we would like to present our project paper. So our project paper title is Analyzing Verb-Noun Collocational Patterns in a Desalination Corpus, a frequency-based approach using AntConc. So without further ado, I will pass to the first presenter to explain about our project paper.
For the introductions, collocations, especially verb-noun collocations, are very important in academic writing. They help promote clarity, fluency, and accuracy. Even native or proficient English speakers often use this pattern unconsciously as they are part of standard language use. So, understanding collocational pattern is not only useful for second language learners, but also for researchers and professional writers, especially in technical fields where precise language is important. This study focuses on verb-noun collocational pattern in academic articles about desalination, which is highly relevant and growing topic in the fields of environmental science and green technology. By analyze how certain verbs tend to appear with certain nouns, for example, phrases like slow, show results, or apply pressure. This research explores how language is used rhetorically and communicatively in scientific writing. The main goal of this study is to identify the most common verb-noun collocation found in desalination research articles and to explore the patterns and functions of these collocations. This study used frequency and concordance analysis with the help of AntConc, a free corpus analysis tool that is widely used in linguistic research. That concludes the introductions. Now, I will present about the research questions that guide this study. This study aims to answer the following three questions. The first one is, which verbs and nouns appear most frequently in the desalination corpus? These questions helps to identify the most commonly used words in academic writing within this field. And the second one is, in this academic subdomain, what a typical verb-noun collocational pattern? This refers to how certain verbs and nouns regularly co-occur and form standard expressions in desalination research articles. And the third one is, how do the rhetorical purpose of scientific writing reflect themselves in these collocational patterns? In other words, these questions explores how these collocations functions to report results, describe procedures, or emphasize the technical details, all of which are common goals in scientific writing. These three questions form the core of the investigations and guide the overall analysis of the study. I will walk you through the literature review, which is divided into three key subsections. 2.1 Collocations in Academic Writing. To begin, let us first understand what collocations are. Collocations refer to words that frequently occur together in a natural and expected way. For example, phrases like present, result, conduct experiments, or draw conclusions are very common in academic writing. According to Sinclair 1991, these combinations are not random but often follow predictable patterns that help create language that is more fluent, precise, and accepted by the academic community. As Highland 2008 points out, collocations plays a crucial role in academic writing, especially when it comes to reporting research findings, evaluating previous studies, and describing research processes. These functions are central to scholarly communications, and collocations help writers perform them more effectively. However, for second language learners, using collocations correctly can be challenging. As highlighted by Nesselhoff 2005, many non-native English speakers tend to misuse or avoid certain combinations, which may result in awkward or unnatural sounding sentence. These issues highlights the importance of collocational competence, or the ability to use word combinations accurately and effectively. In summary, understanding collocations is essential for improving the clarity, natural flow, and academic tones of written text, especially in scientific and technical disciplines. 2.2 Verb-Noun Collocational Patterns. Now moving on to verb-noun collocations, which are specific focus of this study. In academics writing, especially in scientific fields, these verb-noun combinations are used to structure arguments, present evidence, and describe procedures. For instance, Gladhill 2000 study how verb-noun bundles commonly appear in scientific abstract, especially in fields like chemistry and biology. Liu 2010, along with Adel and and Erma 2012 also emphasized the role of these collocations in organizing scientific writing and convey meaning with precision. Let's take some examples from the fields of environmental studies, where researchers often use expressions such as treat wastewater, reduce energy consumptions, and produce membrane. These phrases noted in Chain 2020 reflect disciplines specific language use. In other words, the way scientists talks about their works follow a certain linguistic pattern that is both technical and standardized across the field. 2.3 Corpus-Based approaches. Finally, we look at the corpus-based approaches, which have become very popular in the study of language patterns. A corpus is simply a large collection of real-world text stored digitally, and it can be analyzed using special tools to uncover how language is used in context. In these studies, tools like AntConc and sketch engines are used to analyze the collocations. Bieber, 1998, argued that frequency-based methods, when combined with concordant lines which show how words appear in the actual context, offer objective and reliable insights into language use. Granger, 1998, also used corpus tools to compare the writing of native and non-native English users, while Highland 2008 and Flowerdew 2004 explore academic phraseologies and domain-specific discourse using corpus analysis. Despite all these advancements, there is still a noticeable research gap. Very few studies have specifically examined verb-noun collocations in desalination research articles. This gap is what the present study aims to address. That concludes the literature review sections. In the next part of my presentations, I will explain the methodology used in conducting this study. Now I will explain the methodology used in this study. Under the corpus description, the corpus consists of 10 scholarly journal articles published between 2020 up to 2025, focusing on the topics of desalinations. These articles were selected from reputable journals in the fields of environmentals and water engineering. All articles were converted into TXT format using a standard naming convention such as this 001 desalination TXT. The total word count of the corpus is approximately 43,088 words with around 5,241 word types. Moving on to tools and techniques, the main software used for analysis is AntConc, a free and user-friendly corpus analysis tool developed by Lawrence Anthony. The three main tools within AntConc were used. First, the word list tool to identify the most frequently used verbs and nouns. Second, the collocational tools to find common collocates of high-frequency verbs within a ±5 word span. And third, the concordance tools, which was used to observe how these collocations appear in context. Next, the rationals. A frequency-based approach was chosen to reveal patterns in academic writing related to desalinations. The study focused on verb-noun collocations because they are commonly used to express scientific process, functions, and results. By combining the word list, collocations, and concordance analysis, the study provides both quantitative, qualitative insights. Lastly, the limitations of this study. The corpus is relatively small and focused only on desalinations. So, the findings may not apply to other scientific fields. Also, the study only examines verb-noun collocations, while other types like adjective-noun or noun-noun combinations were not included. That concludes the methodology sections.
Hi, my name is Erma Mariana, metric number 161719. I'll be presenting the data analysis section of our research project. Using AntConc, we extracted the most frequently used verb and nouns in the desalination corpus. As you can see from the table, the top verb include show, treat, and produce, while the most frequent nouns include water, membrane, and process. This word appears regularly across the academic text, which highlight their importance in technical discussions about desalination system. Now let's move on to one of the most important parts of our analysis, which is verb-noun collocational patterns. which are central to how scientific writing is structured and communicated. As seen in the table, our corpus data extracted using AntConc highlight 5 key verb-noun collocation pairs that occur repeatedly across academic articles related to desalination. These collocations are not random, they are frequent, formulaic combinations that scientists use consistently to communicate their finding and method clearly. Let's go through each pair and examine both their linguistic role and disciplinary function in the context of desalination research. The first one, show result. This is the most frequent collocation found in our data. The verb show often co-occurs with the noun result, especially in the result or discussion section of academic articles. This phrase is used when authors report the outcome of their experiment or highlight important data. For example, in many articles, you will find sentences like, the results show that the membrane achieved 98% salt rejection. This collocation reflects a neutral objective tone, which is a major characteristic of academic writing. Rather than saying, we found or we observed, the writer uses results show to distance themselves and emphasize evidence over opinion, something highly valued in scientific discourse. The second one is treat seawater. This pair reflects the procedural aspect of the research. Desalination by definition involves the treatment of seawater to make it suitable for use. The verb treat paired with the noun seawater is used to describe the technical process undertaken in experiment or real-world desalination system. It often appears in methodology or process explanation section. The example usage of that is, the system was designed to treat seawater with high salinity levels using reverse osmosis. This phrase demonstrates technical precision and is part of the standard lexis used in environmental and water engineering research. It indicates how language is shaped by the practical goals of the discipline. The third one is reduce energy. This collocation is used to express the engineering objective of efficiency. In desalination, energy consumption is one of the major concerns, so the term reduced energy is used to communicate attempts to optimize performance, lower operational costs, or improve environmental sustainability. For example, method aim to reduce energy consumption while maintaining output. This reflects how language is technical writing is not just about describing what is, but also about expressing goals and improvement. Such collocation help frame the study within real-world challenges and solutions. The fourth one is apply pressure. This is another common collocation, especially in discussion of membrane-based desalination techniques, like reverse osmosis. The verb apply typically occur in procedural description, paired with pressure as a measurable force in experimental settings. For instance, pressure was applied to the membrane to initiate the filtration process. Again, this phrase is not merely functional, it reflects the mechanical nature of the process and the kind of detail that scientists are expected to communicate. It also showcases how collocation can be discipline-specific, and this combination wouldn't be common in general English, but they are standard in environmental science writing. And the fifth one is procedure water. Lastly, the press-produced water is perhaps the most goal-oriented of all. It reflects the end purpose of desalination to generate clean, usable water. For example, the system produced 1,000 liters of fresh water daily. This collocation indicates outcome and success, especially in the conclusion of study, and it frames the study in terms of impact. How much water was produced, at what quality, and under what condition. We then use the concordant tool to examine the word show in context. This example confirms its role as the reporting verb, commonly used to describe outcomes or visual data in research. The verb appears in factual, third-person declarative sentences reflecting the formal tone typical of scientific writing. Finally, we identified the most frequent noun collocates that appear which show. These include result, characteristic, setup, and efficiency. Each of these nouns is central to describing experimental outcome system, performance, or visual data. These support our agreement that collocation in academic writing serves specific rhetorical purposes, especially in conveying clarity, precision, and objectivity.
Alright guys, now I would like to explain about discussion part. So, for your information, most of the verb-noun collocation functioning as rhetorical functions such as reporting, describing process, and emphasizing the efficiency of the process. So, it also can be related to Gladhill's 2002 and Liu's 2010, which they said scientific writing always relies on the predictable lexical patterns in order to convey technical precisions. So, it also showing the strong emphasis on empirical reporting. For this statement, it will be supported by Highland's 2008. So, functionalism is the center of academic discourse. While most of the example which that I can analyze, that we analyzed from the corpus, which is treat seawater. So for these particular collocations, it used in the corpus are reflecting the process used in the desalination studies. It not only refers to the linguistic part, but also referring to epistemology values in this field. For information, epistemology in this field meaning that collocation used referring or explaining about objectivity, clarity, and also reproducibility. And now we already at a conclusion part. So, in conclusion, this particular project paper helps the researchers to explore the language functions communicatively and rhetorically in a scientific discourse. And also, these collocations found more function as reporting, empirical evidence, describing the procedure used, and emphasizing the technical precisions. And for your information, AntConc, which is one of our software used, brings the researchers to focus on word lists, collocations, and concordance features specifically focused in the analysis of the desalination corpus. And this study contributing to the understanding of how language patterns used and how the epistemology elements used in this desalination corpus. So that's all from us. Thank you.